The following broadcast is a Nighthawk Network presentation. What up, though, people? What's happening? What's going on? Your boy E Buck in the building, and you know what time it is. It's time for that show we call Gametime Audible, where we talk our sports and our sports ish with y'all, as we tend to do, and you know we like doing it. Shout out to our people's Road to Stardom in the building. What up, Road? What's
Oh,
happening?
how you doing?
I know y'all said y'all all kind of early, ain't you? But then we kind of late at the same time. Remember, we usually do this on Wednesday, but sometimes real life take over the scenario, and you kind of got to deal stuff different. So we did what we had to do, but yeah, we got it together now. We're ready to talk our sports with you. Of course, I got to introduce the man with the master plan himself, the sports guru Hugh Lee. What's up, you?
What's up, man? Yeah, and, you being kind, E. You definitely being kind, brother, because that was all on me yesterday, bro.
Well, I told you I ain't about to put your business out there. If you choose to tell the folks what's good, by all means do so.
Don't know if a lot of people knew, man. That mainly was like something that me, you, and H2 used to only talk about, man. Me and my back issues that I've been suffering, and yeah, man, I just had to get the treatment for it finally, and that first day, I just followed the proper procedures, what they told me to. And the next day, it didn't work out that good. So, yeah, I had a pretty rough time. And I was telling E, I definitely didn't believe me being able to sit down for that long to be able to do the show. Luckily, it's not a lot of stuff going on today besides a really good game that was going on in MNLDS. But they pushed back the Yankees game till tomorrow at 107 for all my baseball fans. Not really too much concerned about the Commanders and the Bears. So, and here we go. We this us with the show
Well,
now.
before we even get to the sports football guru session, let me just say these Thursday night games have been terrible, and this is
Man,
probably the worst one of them all so far.
they should have hit us with this one first.
Right, I'll be stunned if either team score more than 21 points. But that being said, we're not going to do football right now. We're going to get to some of the other stuff going on in sports at the moment, and then of course we will get to all things football in the Guru's football session. So, got a lot to talk about. Let's get into it. First of all, since you brought it up, we are in the middle of the MLB playoffs right now. We are down to the final 8 teams in the divisional series. Yankees were supposed to play today. They didn't get it done, but they do lead the series 1-0. Any thoughts on that series so far between the Yankees and the Indians?
Just glad a lot of the big bats came up to play because the Indians, man, they won those first two games when they got out of the wild card, and now they're in NLDS against the Yankees with their pitching. Man, damn, they pitching been lights out as it has been all year. They probably can't score you a lot of runs, but I know when Jose Ramirez get on point, he on point, but a lot of times they'll follow suit. But I'm looking at this one and saying I'm not trying to really call out or disrespect the Guardians, but the defense ain't gonna be enough. So yeah, I definitely think the Yankees gonna pull ahead while they're at home too.
Okay, Roder saying, can't believe my Mets lost the game. I must admit, I really am surprised that the Padres beat them also. I
I
have
was
a season
hurt.
started, so I'm hopeful my New York Kings will make the playoffs. Yes, hockey season did start a couple days ago. Hugh, as always, I got to ask you, hockey, do you care?
I would check it out, probably skim into it a little bit more because of their playoff last
You
year. So aggressive.
care. You actually care?
I'm definitely gonna check. I'm gonna look into some games because that playoff changed my whole perspective on hockey, man. How physical it was. It made like the NFL look like Little League, man. It was so aggressive. And yeah, I definitely want to see what's going on because we usually wouldn't watch a lot of regular season games and like any sport if we wasn't attracted to it. But now I just got to start looking more and see what's going on in the regular season with hockey because they intrigued me with how well their playoff was. So yeah, I definitely am interested.
All right, well, that being said, people, I guess we will report on some more hockey for y'all. You know, this is Game Time Audible for a reason. We Audible to give you what you need with your sports. So we definitely will keep track of some of the major hockey news. And Guru, since you got your own little thing to do, make sure you put some of that news on your Pure to the Game blog too, man.
Oh, you know it, most definitely.
All right, so you got a deal there, Road. Meanwhile, Pride said they have been terrible since they first started talking about those Thursday games. I think the
Oh yeah,
short week and lack of prep time hurts the product. Absolutely, it does. And then like I said, I'm gonna feel some type of way ever since what happened to two, what happened to two. And I find
yeah.
it interesting that certain comments was made, but again, we'll get to that later on in the show. Basically, I say the Yankees got this series. Cleveland don't have enough firepower. Cleveland don't have enough pitching to hold them off in a 5 game or 7 game series. So I think it's just a question of when. In terms of the other series with Houston and New York, I mean Houston and Seattle, I think Seattle is a young team, and they used to starting to catch up with them because now they've had 2 games now where they had the lead and they have given up the lead later on in the game. And with Houston's bullpen being what it is, backloaded and such, I think if you can't afford to let them get ahead of you going into the eighth or ninth inning, that's a bad recipe. I not only got Houston winning this series, but I got them beating the Yankees too and going to the World Series. Anyway, any thoughts on the Houston Seattle before we move on, Hugh?
I'm actually thinking that Houston gonna actually lose to them, man. I
To the
don't
Yankees?
really like the fact that yeah, they're older and they got the experience, but I'm thinking, man, Seattle gonna ride on what they have this year.
Oh,
I
you think they're
looked at
gonna lose to Seattle? That's interesting.
I laughed at Seattle at the beginning of the year, but then when you start to see the strides and everything they made, I'm thinking now by them being a younger team and getting hot at the right time is the best thing for them. I definitely wouldn't be surprised if they beat Houston, but Houston is the veteran team of both, and they have a chance. But yeah, I'm definitely looking at it right now like Houston might have their number, man, because it's a really good matchup.
Well,
Houston
correct me
got
if I'm wrong, Hugh. This is the best of 5 series this round, right?
hmm
Well, I see it this way. If Houston mess around and win today's game and go up 2-0, you know they got to see Verlander one more time. And Verlander is not going to pitch as bad as he did in game one. I do
Oh
not
yeah,
like chances if it come down to that.
because I'm to the point after
Motion detected at the blink cam 1.
what happened the first time with us, I just don't trust it no more. I really don't trust a lot of the teams that we banked on
Yeah, because early on,
because I felt like our teams had a chance.
I definitely thought the Mets was going to be here at this point, and they are not, for example. But the one team I'm liking
Yeah,
out
I
of
thought,
all of them right now is the Atlanta Braves. They look very primed to get things done. Now, granted, they did lose to the Phillies in game one, but game two, they got it back together, and they still got a lot of good arms in that doggone pen that yet to even come out and show up yet. Um, Bottom line, Philly got to win game three. They don't win game three tomorrow in Philadelphia, or is that tonight even? Might be tonight, but and needless to say, they got to win this next game. They don't. I think Braves got them. Now, as far
what
as
was
San
crazy.
Diego and LA go, I'm really surprised about what I've seen thus far from both teams. I thought LA would be a little better. I thought probably would be a little worse. It's kind of the opposite on either end. I'm very curious to see what we get out of Kershaw here. That's gonna be very key to the series.
That's what made the MLB this year so unique. Because if you told me, a lot of the teams that I thought was going to do good, they did the exact opposite. Like, man, I was crushed about, my boy, St. Louis Cardinals. Now, I definitely want to see them go deep into the playoffs before.
I wanted to see Toronto make a nice little run. I was disappointed by that as well.
I'm not mistaken. I think I may have choose the Guardians, but I'm not even. Man, it's like a lot of the predictions was like the exact opposite, man. It was just like whoever had the momentum and who were the hotter teams, they came in rolling. Like Philly barely got in there, but they were a hot team at the time, and they had the hot bats and they had momentum. And sometimes that's all you need, because we see it a lot when it comes to football, because I've seen people on their pages already predicting who's going to be in the Super Bowl. And I laughed and I said, man, it's a long season. Most times,
I mean, going back to our early choices, it ain't looking too good for some of that. Not at all.
So, yeah, I usually just ride the season, man. Most times it'll be a surprise team who'll pull up and, play their best at the right time. And that's what I believe Philly doing, man, because you got Kyle Schwarber, man. He been really balling, and he hit bombs. And then I just feel like Bryce Harper finally woke up, man. But, I can't get him.
That series right now, we got to go there. What's been the key to this series so far?
Nick Castellano.
Nick Castellano. And I hate it. I hate it.
What did you tell me yesterday, E?
What did I tell you?
It's 11 Detroit Tigers right now that's in the playoffs.
Make that 12. But yes, 12. And I'm talking about people that's been on the squad in the last few years. So it's really disturbing to me that we could have had that type of staff still and just basically gave it all away to come to be what the Tigers are now, which is basically a top 10 prospect team. Not happy at all. But keep in mind, there is hope. And some non-related playoff news today, Carlos Correa has announced that he is not going to go with player option. He's going to declare himself a free agent. I'm here at the game, says this person. Okay, go ahead, Hugh, while I try to figure out who this is.
Okay.
Your thoughts on Carlos Correa?
Carlos Correa, man, I kind of figured that I thought that was going to work out at first because they got a couple little pieces over there with the Twins, man, and I thought they was going to make some noise. That's why they brought him over there, too, to make noise. And they just didn't live up to expectations. They didn't live up to the expectations like Texas Rangers did. And now I feel like he looked at that franchise and feel like that's the farthest he can go with them. Unfortunately, he had a lot of injuries, too. You can't just blame the team and, their lack of. But you got to look at it too, and it was a few injuries, and he was pretty banged up this year. But I think more or less now he's going to think at it a smarter way. Yeah, he's going to look at it with people throwing dollars at him, but he's going to be more or less focused on trying to get a team where he can compete too.
Yeah, that's Coach Will checking in, saying he's there at the game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, my thing is this, last year when he was a free agent, one of the big people that was in the mix to get him, of course, was the Tigers. And basically didn't work out. Felt like they lowballed him with the offer. Maybe now that might be an offer, if still on the table, something that we could work out with young Carlos Correa. Keeping in mind that one of the main reasons why he wanted to come here was because of the coach that he was very good with while they were there in Houston. So I'm hoping some of that still comes into play. Lord knows we need somebody with that type of bat in this lineup that basically hit like trash this week.
Yeah, because I was disappointed, man. A lot of the guys, and we went out there and we dug deep, and we got some players that I felt like were talent, low-key pretty good moves, and just nothing worked out, man. People were, going out on leaves and didn't want to come back, and it was just a weird season this year, man. And I think Alavila didn't help it out neither, man, because it felt like we've been basically trying to dig from the bottom and make our way up. And we've been rebuilding for too long. So I'm just glad that they're moving in a different direction in that state too. But yeah, man, I'm just wishing we could get
Yeah,
back to the
like
book.
I said, I don't even want us to dwell on that. We got so much more to talk about. Let's just move on. That's basically our baseball news for the moment. Let's switch over to the NBA for a minute, Hugh.
Okay.
Couple concerns, as you know, we rounding up the preseason here. We had a couple injuries in these last 48 hours. That's a little concerning. One being young Mellow Ball. He has a little ankle issue that he has to deal with. Hopefully he won't be out for too long. It's kind of more like that high ankle variety. You know that. You know how that go. That can be sneaky, that can be fun. All right, we got Pastor Hayes checking in. What's going on, bro? Good to see you, my brother. Liking the suit, by the way. But yeah, should that be a concern for Charlotte?
I look at it like now, and I don't really feel like it'll be that big of a concern. But they do got a good thing going over there. I wish them the best, but at the same time, depends on how long that high ankle sprain affect. Because you know how it is with them high ankle sprains. If you ever have one, they linger, man. You can have it
Right.
for a couple weeks, or you can have it for 5 weeks. You never know until you know basically it happens. You know until
And
it
I said I'm
heals.
not so much concerned about him as I am about the other person that had a leg injury last night. That, of course, will be our guy Zion Williamson. That's a little bit more concerning. It seemed like whenever he healthy, somewhere down the line he ain't. This has been an issue ever since the Duke days, where for whatever reason he lands awkwardly, and now he's hurt, and it takes him a little bit longer to heal up. And that's the last thing you want for New Orleans right now, because they could be the surprise team this year. I think with everybody healthy and going 100%.
They was a surprise team in the playoffs last year, man. But yeah, that's a concern to me because he seemed like he always get that injury bug, and I felt bad because we talked about it last week how he's getting himself on track. He dropped a lot of weight and he looked good, man. He worked hard, man, damn hard to get to his size right now, and to figure that he's not going to be in and it's like an injury and we don't know how long it's going to be to affect of that team because he does have injury, issues right now in his career, man. I'm just hoping he can pull through and they can have a solid season because man, Willie Green and just basically the guys he have over there, his staff in general, let alone with the players, man, you get excited for them and you want to see young teams do well and succeed. And I'm hoping they do well, man. But if he's hurt for like a week or so, I know Brandon Ingram, a lot of those guys gonna hold it down. Now they got CJ McCollum, and they just got a really good team over there, man, with a really good coach. So I'm hoping that it's not as serious as we think, and they just set him out for the time being, just to make sure that he don't do anything that worse or make the injury worse. But yeah, man, you don't like to hear that because if that continues to happen, it could possibly be a career-ending injury. Just
And
ask
Lord,
Greg.
the last thing I want to see is for him to end up like Greg Oden, man. That name pops in my head when I see what's going on with it. But that being said, the only other issue I saw was last time I looked at some preseason. I saw the Lakers, and they look okay, but there's definitely a chemistry issue between them and our good buddy Russell Westbrook. Not wanting to participate in the timeout discussions and whatnot. Should they be writing him off? Should they do the ultimate and just pay off most of that salary and send him on his way? Or are we gonna keep playing this game all season? What do you think, Hugh?
I sure as hell would write him off, man, because it seems like sometimes that he'll be all in, and then it seems like later on he just don't want to cooperate and he want to do things his way. Well, you can't have it your way when you're not the leader of that team. And then unfortunately, when they brought in Pat Beverly, it was for a reason. I mean, he's not the greatest of shooters, but he could give you some of the best defense and he could score. But he's not going to have those, out of sync issues that I believe that, Russell Westbrook's have. Like you said, when you got a guy like them playing on your team, he's either going to do or he don't. And he's not doing anything right now for that team effectively. And that's why I think Patrick Beverly, one of them guys you love to hate, I think that he's going to do well over there with that team. And they should just cut ties with Russell Westbrook while they got a chance, because
yeah, like
I don't
I
think
said, well, Pat Bear was allowed to lead the huddle. We all know when all is said and done who the real leader is of that team, period. But in terms of what's going on, I see it this way. You got Pat Bear, you got Schroeder, you got Tuck still, I think. Yeah, I think it may be time to go ahead and let Russ know, look, we don't really need you, bro. We'll pay you to sit on this bench for a while, but we really kind of want you to take your new agent and find you a decent deal. So my thing is, I think they stuck with him at least for half the season. If you don't pay him off, and then I say halfway through, you go ahead and work out your deal and let him do what he do. Because in the end, he's having trouble understanding you are not the guy that was getting them triple doubles with ease 3-4 years ago. You getting older, bruh, and your role ain't what it need to be. But there's some things to look out. And then of course, before we move on from the NBA, we still got to talk about, unfortunately, because everybody else still talking about it, what's going on with Draymond. Apparently, he'll be back tomorrow with the team. They have looked into the incident to the fullest. They basically have said they're gonna define him an undisclosed amount of money, and they're gonna move on. They all sat down and had a talk, and everybody's everybody. You think that's it, Hugh, or should we be concerned?
I'm not really sure, man. I don't think we should be, honestly.
I mean,
I
me
think
myself, if this was him dealing with somebody else on another team, maybe. But because of the teammate situation, I think it's resolved. I think not only has he learned from this situation, but he learned how he dealt with it in that past situation with KD a few years ago. That okay, we
yeah,
need to nip this in the bud now and move forward.
because what's crazy about that whole situation too, was like we heard last year with the interview with KD and having, him and Draymond Green sit down and kind of hash it out. He said, yeah, that was one of the main reasons that he decided to move on that altercation with him. And Draymond just seems like he's a hothead, but the one thing I didn't like, and the one thing that did cause concern, and it definitely was a red flag, is the way he came up on Jordan Poole, because he walked up on him. And Jordan Poole, man, he's definitely not from the hood. I wouldn't let nobody get that close to me if they're talking junk to me, because I know they'll physically try to do harm. And I'm going out first. I'm gonna hit. I'm gonna definitely throw the first blow. You ain't gonna get a chance to get that close and swing on me. But he swung on this man and he bumped his head against the wall, and he had a concussion. You don't things like that, man. And I felt like that's where I lost a lot of respect in Draymond, regardless of the fact to have that type of malice and intentions to take out your teammate. Yeah, I definitely lost respect in him. But
Right.
we talk about,
Man, I don't necessarily want to take all of Draymond's fire away from him, because it is part of what makes him play the way he plays. But in the same token, we can't have distractions like this go on throughout the season. Not to mention the fact we know, Draymond, that you definitely want an extension and to get another big payday. You want to earn that, bro, because when I look at that Warriors team, the one person I feel would be expendable in the end is definitely Draymond. And I think he realizes that too. And part of why he's expendable is because of people like Jordan Peele, who you definitely going to have to pay as well. I don't think you can afford to pay. I mean, they already hella over the luxury tax by paying Draymond and Thompson and Curry what they're paying them at the moment. So I really feel like if you want to show that you are worthy of more pay, you're gonna have to chill out this season, not be such a hothead.
he feel like Poole.
I used to try and defend Dre, but he is a hothead and a bully. Since he picks his spots in terms of getting physical versus just wolfing, Dre is gone at the end of this contract. It's kind of hard not to see that. I mean, truthfully, I don't say he gone, but in the end, if he's seeking that 4-year extension they say he's getting, he won't be getting that from them or nobody else for that matter. Could they do 2 years? Yeah, I can see 2 years, but 4 years, no, and he definitely won't get what he getting now. Definitely not that.
I want to chime in and say this too. He's valuable on Golden State. He may have more value towards other teams, up and coming teams, but is his value that big of an impact on another team versus being from on Golden State right now?
Well, that I think will be determined at some point. I definitely say we need a person like Dre on that young Piston squad right now because they need that good veteran leadership, and they really don't have much of that to feed off of. And I think I just realized in saying that that must be the game you at, Coach Will. That makes sense because Pistons are in town tonight, so I'm thinking that's the game you're talking about.
Okay.
Um, yeah, like I said, I've been checking out some of the preseason. Yeah, I gotta admit the Nets look pretty good the other night as well. I think it's gonna work out better for Mr. Simmons because they want him to be the Ben Simmons he was in Philly before all the mess. They don't want him to be this big scorer and shooter. He played a lot like he did in Philly when things was good, but that works for them more than it did for Philly. So if you expected him to start coming out shooting threes or whatnot, he may give it a shot here and there, but it's not necessary for that team. So, like I said, I'm really hoping he have a good season. But nonetheless, that's our discussion. Before I move away from basketball, I do want to talk a little college basketball. Did you get that article I sent you today, Hugh, about young Imani Bates?
Yes, I did.
Now, here's the thing, people. He got arrested last month for being in possession of a firearm that was not his and not registered to him as a young man under 21. That led him to be charged. Apparently, those charges are going to be dismissed, and as a result of that, he is going to be reinstated fully to not only Eastern because he had basically been put out of school, period, but also fully reinstated to the Eastern Michigan basketball program, which is definitely good news for my alma mater. But definitely leaves me cause for pause because I'm thinking, is this another case of okay, well, you a star athlete and we're gonna look out for you and blah blah blah, or was this okay, you still young, this your slap on the wrist, but next time, buddy, you're gonna be in a world of trouble. What do you think, Hugh?
I think that's what they tend to do, unfortunately, nowadays, because there was a lot of melee going on with him, and we heard a lot of the issues in the bubble that stays in a bubble. I guess what happened then stays there with the whole thing when they end up getting rid of Rachel Nichols, but then they kept Jimmy Butler because we heard them having some type of situation going on. I don't want to really get deep into it, but I think when you're an athlete, in certain cases, they give you privilege. And I think right here in this case, that's the way it is with him. He's a star athlete, has a lot going for him, and they feel like we can, turn a tragedy into something successful or a high risk, low high reward, low risk. They feel like if he don't do well, they could just push him to the side. But if he do well, they feel like what they did basically was good for the sport and good for just him and perspective. But I just don't feel like sometimes that work out that way. I'm just hoping that he do well and learn from this though, man. When you're in situations like that and you're in the spotlight, you just got to carry yourself a little better. And I'm just tired of talking about that because we seem like we talk about that more than anything. When you're a person who is in a good situation, it can get taken from you like right away, snap of a finger. So I just hope that he learned from this and grow. Because yeah, he's still a young kid. So I'm just wishing him well because he better be lucky that he got that type of privilege right now. Because if he wasn't as talented as he is, which we all know that guy has a lot of talent. But if he didn't have that talent, man, he'd just be another statistic out here.
Yeah, well, I think that makes it to where more than likely he'll do his 1 year at Eastern and go ahead and enter the draft. And based on what we've seen in the past from him, he may be top 10, he may be late first round, but yeah, he definitely should do well, particularly playing at Eastern in the MAC, where the MAC is not nearly the basketball conference that it once was.
But
Several
suppose
great players have came out of the MAC, over the years, but this ain't that. So, just for my alma mater's sake, I hope he has a great season, and that actually encourages them to recruit some other players that's in the area to stay local and actually not attend a Michigan or Michigan State and give Eastern or schools like that a chance. So that's what my thoughts is on that one. That's pretty much where we at with the basketball. We didn't talk basketball. We didn't talk baseball. We didn't talk the hockey. So y'all know what time it is next, y'all. We're gonna take a quick break. I mean a quick break. Don't even go nowhere, Hugh. Don't get to looking at stuff and despairing on me, none of that. We're gonna take this little interruption. When we come back, it's on you, bruh. It's time for
Okay.
the Guru's football session. There's a lot of football to be talked this evening. That being said, let's do this thing. Shout out to all the people on Nighthawk Network. I also want to give some condolences to some of the people here on the Facebook feed. A couple of you have lost some of your elders and relatives today. I definitely want to let you know that you are in our prayers in regards to that, and we wish you nothing but peace and strength as you get through this troubled time in your life. I'm sure my co-host shares in that as well. Yes,
Yeah, because it's just been rough, man. Sometimes in this time of year in general, because man, we got a lot to look forward to, like Thanksgiving and Christmas. But to lose the loved ones, sometimes that just be a hard impact, man. So for all the people who done lost loved ones, and we just want to say a prayer for them, and keep your heads up. We love you, and we just want to give you the best support that we could, because man, it's hard, because I know I lost my dad around December or close to Christmas. So that kind of impacts me different now when the holidays come around. So I
right. And
definitely,
I lost my dad around this time of year. That's also why I kind of sympathize with that. The week after my birthday, about 11 years ago. So yeah, I definitely can understand that. But like I said, just know we're here for you, and hopefully we provide you some distraction from that as we talk these sports. So that being said, Game Time Audible. We'll be back in just a little bit, y'all. Have you been scrolling Facebook and looking for that quick sports fix? Want a quick peek of what's going on in the latest sports news? Check out Pure to the Game Sports Blog with the sports guru, Hugh D. Lee. He'll get you together. Check it out. Follow it on Facebook. Make sure you like it.
Hello, hello, hello. It's another glorious day, my T-Steppers, and you know what time it is. I hope you have all of your comfort together, because it's time to dish tea. And you're dishing tea, darlings, with Big Meat.
Can't wait. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat.
Darling.
We're not asking for your permission. We're not seeking your approval. We're claiming what's ours in the name of our ancestors. We are their answered prayers. This is more than a movement. This is a revolution. Black innocence. What are yours today?
The views and or opinions expressed here on Game Time Audible is that of the host and or guests, and does not necessarily reflect those of the Nighthawk Network or its affiliates. Viewer and listening discretion is advised. All right, we are back. Doggone, Hugh disappeared on me for a second, but sometimes duty calls, so I understand you. That being said, hope you are nice and situated, because show on you now, bruh. We put you in the big boy seat, and you have
Yes,
your business. It is time once again, good people, for the guru session. Here he is, the guru. Let's go. What you got, man?
All right, man. First, I want to start off with congratulating USC and being ranked number 7, man. They definitely climbing up in the top 10. Them and UCLA, they've been playing some solid football, and it's definitely been noticed. But I want to go on to say some of the games is going to go on this week, and there's some really interesting ones too. And
Hold on, Houston. Of course, you mentioned the rankings. We might as well give them the whole shebang bang.
okay,
Of
yeah,
course, we
yeah,
usually do a quick go through the top 25. Give me a
okay,
second while I get that for you. Okay. Number 1 this week is Georgia. You got
hmm
Ohio State at number 2. Alabama
hmm
has ranked down to 3. We got Clemson at 4, Michigan at 5, Tennessee at 6. USC actually ranked 7th in the AP poll. Oklahoma State is 8. Got Ole Miss at 9 and Penn State 10. UCLA is up to 11. Oregon is 12. TCU, Wake Forest, North Carolina State, Mississippi State, Kansas State, Syracuse, who is undefeated at number 18, Kansas University at 19, and Utah at 20. All right, now go ahead, Hugh. What you got for me?
I definitely don't agree with the rankings due to the fact that I know you ain't gonna like what I'm about to say. E. I
All right.
definitely think Ohio State should be ranked number 1 right now due to the fact that they didn't have no type of glitches or they had no setbacks or anything. They just been playing like just really solid football right now. And I would have to put it on that because yeah, I feel like Alabama and Georgia struggle with some non-ranked teams, even though one of the teams was Mizzou, and it's some guys who's been in the top 10 or they've been ranked before, and they just been losing games, and that's why they're not ranked. But yeah, man, they basically struggled this year. While Ohio State, I think, been putting the pedal to the metal, and they're not even with their number 1 wide receiver. So yeah, I definitely feel like they should be number 1. And yeah, you could put Georgia number 2 and then Alabama number 3. They could stay put there.
Based on how you saying that, and keep in mind, a lot of the talking heads kind of feel like you do about it. I disagree. Like I said, I don't disagree about the Ohio State thing. They should be ranked number 1 because basically they didn't play and everything been everything. But in the same token, they ain't really played nobody. Not for real.
I
With
think
that
a
being
lot.
said, I understand, in the world that I view as yours, if the factory ain't rolling and everybody getting whooped up 55 to nothing, we a down year in down there in Alabama. I disagree. I just feel like SEC done stepped their game up. Everybody done stepped their game up. When they play Alabama, whether they the champs or not, you get their best game because that game gonna be on TV. That game is gonna feature future people that's gonna be in the NFL, and you want to put some of your best tape out there so that when they get to looking at the draft and whatnot, and they see you played Alabama and you showed out when you played Alabama, you basically get a little bit more credit than you would just playing basic team A in the SEC. So I think that's what you get when you deal with Alabama. That being said, Alabama will not be at home this week. They'll be at Tennessee, and we'll get into that in a moment. But I still say Alabama is one of the best, at least one of the best 3 teams in the country. Even better than the damn Wolverines, I hate to admit, because they got more consistent up and down. You know what I'm saying? They got higher depth chart. I mean, the kid that's basically the backup that's playing right now for Alabama, he pretty much will be starting at damn near any other school in the country right now as a freshman. I feel he is that good.
I definitely agree with you, but then too, I feel like they basically been carrying. He's definitely been carrying the team with an injured Bryce Young. But I definitely feel like by him being injured or us not really knowing where he's going to be at, that's why I feel like the slip basically was going to happen. If it was a healthy Bryce Young and he's continued to make strides and played well, and they beat the teams that they supposed to beat, suffer struggling, it'd probably be a different story. But I believe that injury has a lot for it too, and it makes them a little shaky as far as being the number 1 seed. But yeah, man, I have to give credit to Georgia for bouncing back too, for having so many bad games and them back-to-back games that they didn't play well in. The bounce back was big when they whooped on Auburn. But yeah, Ohio State, they haven't really played nobody really yet. They beat an Oregon team who's still kind of iffy. And
I know how I feel about that Pac-12.
we don't want to talk about the Spartans right now because that wasn't good at all. That wasn't a good effort whatsoever.
It looked terrible. They'll be lucky to make a bowl game this year.
If they make a bowl game. I want to talk about some of the games of the week we're going to be seeing too. Start off with Wolverines and Penn State.
Yes, this should be a good game. Keeping in mind that it's going to be out there in Ann Arbor. It's going to be nice 50-degree football weather. If you guys have never been to Ann Arbor, Michigan, particularly during game day, nothing like it. When you talk about the full college experience, that is it in a nutshell. I expect that place to be packed with about 3,000 Penn State fans and about 108,000 Wolverine fans. It'll be a beautiful thing. That being said, definitely gives them the advantage. We've seen McCarthy play now. He definitely seems to play better at home than he does on the road. So I think that will be to his advantage. He's starting to get everybody back in that receiving core, nice and healthy. They're starting to have some good rapport with one another. I definitely see us winning this game, but I do see it being a close game. It's not going to be one of those scenarios where if we only win by 3, I'm thinking, oh, our season's over. My team sucked. This is a down year. This is actually, from what I see so far, from an offensive standpoint, a better team than last year's team. Not quite so much on the defensive end, but that being said, this defense ain't that bad either. So, according to a lot of the talking heads, and I kind of agree with them, if we basically go into this game and win by a good touchdown or 2, it's a pretty good possibility we may not lose at all until we get to that Old State game. Yeah, hold on. Correa has a little something to say here. I went to one game at UM, and it was like a kid going to Disneyland, and I'm a Spartan fan. Nothing like it. Yep, nothing like being at the big house. I will definitely second that emotion, sir. I've been to Spartan Stadium and UM. 2 different environments.
That game is going to be real interesting. It's going to be defensive minded, and I think it's definitely going to be worth us watching, man. Our eyes are going to be glued to the TV. We see McCarthy, man. I think he's been playing pretty well, even on the road. But I just think this Penn State team is going to be really tough, even though we're going to be at the big house. But I still, like you said, I don't see it being like a super blowout game. I feel like it's going to be like, if we do pull it off, we're going to pull it off by 3, something crazy like 24-21.
I was thinking something like 21-17 myself. So yeah, I definitely see it as that.
Okay, I want to go with the next game I have on board. Oklahoma State versus number 13 TCU.
Again, on the one hand, it's a Big 12 game, so expect a lot of points. And I'm sorry, that might be a good feel for you when you playing one of these sports games. And word has it that next season, when college football goes on, we will have that college football game that we have been so desperately waiting on since the NIL taking place. Looking very much forward to getting my game system at that point so I can play my college football like I used to. But that being said, from a watching standpoint, after a while, it's like, is anybody going to play some decent defense today? That is not what the Big 12 is known for. That being said, when you end up being Oklahoma and not scoring at all last week against Texas, that lets you know just how bad that Oklahoma team is. So that being said, TCU might win, Oklahoma State might win. It don't matter. Ain't neither one of them teams going to be in the playoffs. I don't care.
Okay, we're going to hit that USC and Utah game.
Now, see, that game is important for 2 reasons. One, USC starting to get a lot of buzz around the country. And, that's kind of hard to do sometimes because there's that East Coast bias that you run into when it comes to college football and basketball for that matter. So the fact that USC is starting to get a lot of hub, they need to keep that momentum going. I definitely see USC winning this game. It's not going to be a runaway like they have been, but with that offense being what it is, they got a lot of weapons on that offense. Utah going to have a real tough time with them, even if it is in Utah. And I definitely see them winning. And it actually matters because they're the X factor right now in this thing. Because remember, it's starting to get deep into that SEC and Big Ten season. These teams going to beat up on each other. We're not going to get Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, and Alabama at the 4. You're not going to let that happen. Somebody going to be out of that mix. And whoever's out of that mix, that means whoever is going to be the person that gets in that mix. And right now, from where I'm sitting, it's looking a lot like USC or Clemson. So USC got to keep the party going, man. All right, we got Coach V checking in. What up, family? Go Blue, said Coach V.
Yeah.
What it is. Go Blue all day, baby.
For sure. I look at it too, and I feel like USC has been one of the teams that everybody been having their eye on. Utah's a decent team, but they haven't really done enough for me this year. And the losing streak really caught me off guard. I was just really disappointed in what was going on with them right now because I thought that they would have played better this season, and they didn't. So, yeah, I'm just looking at it, and I'm feeling like they could do better. But since they're playing a UFC team, a hungry UFC team, I do not see them beating them, man. I think it ain't going to really be ugly, but I do have UFC by 10 points, and I feel like Utah going to try to get some momentum. About time they do, it's going to be too late. That's how their game's been playing out, actually, too. They'll be up or it'll be an even game, and they just seem to fade away. And then when they try to come back, it's already too late. I just think that last year was a big year for them, and I just feel like they're a little slightly more overrated this season than they are than the years past. So I don't really see them really making that much noise. I believe they'll lose to USC, and then they'll be out of the top 25 in general.
I mean, bottom line is I think it's only 1 or 2 games to look forward to in the Pac-12 this year, and one of them is the 2 future Big Ten teams when USC plays UCLA this year, because that's going to be a damn good rivalry game when they have it. But in the meanwhile, like I said, Lincoln Riley definitely getting the job done. Thank God that USC waited to pull the trigger until he showed himself to be available. And right now, if USC can get to that college playoff, especially if they can manage somehow to get into the championship game, it's going to be extension time for Riley. And yeah, you already paid him a nice little bit of money, but yeah, you want to pony up. Because if you don't, the NFL will be called.
Yeah, because I feel like they've really been stepping their game up, man, with UFC. But I was really surprised in how well UCLA been playing too, man. And my man's DTR, man, Dorian Thomas Robinson, man, he really been playing well. And I just been surprised too, because a few years ago, I felt like he would have been made into making bad decisions. If you put pressure on him, he'll fold and he wouldn't play as well. But for him to play how he has been playing right now, it really surprised me. And I'm just surprised in how well he's played this year because of his maturity. By the way, is not looking too good for my Mariners. They're down 2-0.
As I said, you cannot let Houston get the lead on you late in the game. That bullpen is very dominant there in Houston. That's why I like them to at least get to the World Series. I'm not so far to pick them to win it all at this point, but I definitely think they got what they need to get there.
But yeah, man, I definitely feel like USC is the poster child right now of that conference, and then UCLA. So definitely want to see that matchup when that finally do happen. But yeah, I still feel like right now that's the game to watch. But I wouldn't look past Utah if I was, USC, because that's how most college teams are when they're doing real good and they
It
got
is a trap game, true enough, but I think that Coach Riley will have them ready.
I
And
think
keep in
they'll be
mind,
up
based
to,
on what we've seen from him and Coach Kelly at UCLA, I'm very much looking forward to them coming to the Big Ten. You definitely gonna have some big games down there every week once you get them two teams in the conference. Not to
they'll
mention,
definitely
I
there.
like seeing when they play at home. Have you seen USC and UCLA when they play at home? And some of the student body and some of the student bodies.
Man, their run game is sick too, man. The UCLA, man. I definitely can't wait to see. You
And
behave, man.
I mentioned that the UCLA run game led by Charbonneau, former Wolverine.
He been killing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Imagine if
want
we would have had him and Blake Corum in the backfield right now for Michigan. What they would be looking like.
to. I want to get into this game too. With Alabama and Tennessee. It's at Tennessee.
What you do?
And we're still not sure what's going to happen with Bryce Young. Is he even going to play right now? I thought too, and I was talking to one of my buddies, Robert Wright. I said I don't really think he played that game with Texas A&M because I think that wish they should have been worried because they should have lost that game. But at the end of the day, they ended up pulling it out, and I think they saving Bryce for that game. But the problems is with the Alabama is on the road. They haven't proved to me neither that on the road that they can actually really, go out there and play like the old teams back in the day. Cause V saying I like Tennessee over Alabama. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised because this college football and nothing surprises me right now. But I do feel like if they have Bryce in, they might be able to squeak that game. But that one, I'll go even on that one because I just didn't feel like they proved enough to me on offense, especially if they got to have the guy who the backup right now. I just don't have enough trust in them right now. But yeah, they're favored by 3, but I'm gonna go even because I don't believe they will.
I mean, bottom line is we already pretty much know the game plan either way it go. If Bryce comes back, then everything's back in the playbook. All is good in the world. You're gonna start him out with a bunch of easy throws, not to overrush him. And you're gonna hit him with a lot of run, and that's how you're gonna play it. Tennessee has an offense. Actually, Joe Milton is the backup there in Tennessee. You got young Hooker being the starter there at Tennessee, the transfer portal kid that they got, and he is playing very well for Tennessee. Keep in mind, you got to understand it is going to be at Tennessee. Tennessee is one of the better home crowds in the country, much like there at the big house. They seat over 100,000 there at Tennessee. It is a big time sports school, not just basketball, but football as well. Of course, we all know about their women's program has been excellent over the decades. But it's just going to be a good game to watch in terms of people who are actual fans of college football in general. You're going to get two teams that's going to definitely bring it and bring it to the fullest. I feel like if Bryce doesn't play, you definitely going to get a lot of running offense, a lot of RPO with them and the young kid. That's ideal because he definitely helps the run game because he is built the way he is. Yeah, he had a couple fumbles along the way, but I think as the weeks progress, he's starting to build more confidence, and definitely that's going to lead to better outcomes for him later on down the line. Keep in mind, he'll probably still get quite a bit of chance to play. They'll probably actually start making some small packages for him along the way, so they can get little things. And you know how Alabama do. Once they get to that part of the schedule where they play a couple more cupcakes, he'll definitely get some more playing time then as well. With that being said, yeah, this is pretty much a pick'em game. I got to get a slight edge to Alabama because they are Alabama. So I think they pull it out. I'm glad I'm not going to be sitting there with Hugh It's probably gonna be a tough game for him to watch and be comfortable. Me myself, I'm gonna be out working, so I got the game taped, of course. But if Michigan lose, they lose. I'm not really tripping on that. I say much like the Alabamas and the Georgias of the world, they got one that they can manage to lose at this point, this far in the season. But lose to somebody like a Purdue or something after that, we're done. But man, there is no shame for Alabama losing to Tennessee. They both basically top 10. Alabama 3, I think Tennessee's 6 or 7. So if they do lose Tennessee, they probably rank down to 4 or 5. That still put them right where they need to be. They went out, they right back in the playoffs. Like I said, it don't matter if Alabama lose one game. It don't really matter if they lose 2. I still think they could make the playoffs even losing 2 games, depending on what them 2 games is. So yeah, it may not be the team that's gonna have 30 or 40 people make the league next year, but it's still a damn good team.
Your question, you saying what's going on in Michigan high school football? What do you mean, a ranking, or I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
I gotta be honest, I ain't really looked into it much, Coach B, but we will do that for you. So we'll have some report to do. Put that on your to-do list there, Mr. Guru. Check out the Michigan high school football.
Some of the teams who are ranked by the divisions. I do actually know the teams and who are ranked. And basically, right now, if you want to know like Division 3, I got the Division 3 rankings with like Detroit King, they're 5-1. Mason is 7-0. Muskegon is 5-2. River Rouge is 5-1. Mount Pleasant is 6-1. And you have 6th place, St. Joseph, they're 6-1. Walled Lake Western is 6-1, and they're ranked number 7. Number 8 is Zeeland West, 6-1. Grosse Pointe North is 7-0, which I feel like should be number 1. And then you have Trenton, who's 6-1, and Cadillac is 5-2. And they have them like Division 1, 2, and 3 too. So we can break it down.
Like I said, I don't know none of that, but I can tell you it is a lot of 3- and 4-star recruits on those squads that he mentioned. So definitely some good football being played.
I'm only rolling with one team, and that's my boys Renaissance, man. That's my boy Dre, man. Dre and Big Tone. Them some dudes that I grew up with, man, and they've won championships with that team. And if I had to roll with any team right now in high school, I'm gonna definitely roll with them in Renaissance because I like the direction of that.
I did roll past Renaissance practice a couple weeks ago. So it's some big boys on that squad. I'm talking about some kids with some professional football bodies, not just some run-of-the-mill, walk-in-the-hood type kids. So it will not be surprised when they win some things. And keep in mind, as we talk Michigan, Penn State, there are several people on that Penn State squad that they scoop from the D. So look out for some of them as we play that game. And also a person you want to watch in that game from a defensive standpoint, particularly if you are a Lions fan, is Joey Porter Jr. That name sounds familiar. It should. Of course, he is the son of Joey Porter, the former Pittsburgh Steelers Hall of Famer. And because we are trash in the secondary in Lions football, that's definitely somebody we might want to consider drafting with one of them first-round people.
Yeah, because he's been locking people down too, man. He's a big physical dude for a cornerback. I definitely watched one of the Penn State games and seen him, and he was locked down. And definitely interesting to see what's going to happen too this Saturday coming up.
Absolutely. Yeah, continue on, sir.
That being said, I want to move on and get to the NFL aftermath. And I want to start off the Panthers firing Matt Rule. And I think that it was after that 1-4 loss, it was kind of embarrassing. It seemed like 49ers took the fight out of them. And the surprise there is not only that, but they got rid of him and the defensive coordinator. And now who's the interim coach, and which most times we feel like that's like feast or famine, which I think that's not going to probably work out because they'll find another coach eventually. Former coach Steve Wilkes is going to be the interim coach. Why I'm saying Steve Wilks, because his name might sound familiar. He was the coach of the Arizona Cardinals at the time when he just had one kind of shaky year, and they end up getting rid of him for Cliff Kingsbury.
Well, we all know now that the reason why that happened was because Kingsbury made his name available and showed interest in the job. That's why they got rid of him so quick. Not to mention, we can go ahead and pull out the cards on that. But that being said, this is doomed to fail at this point because they're saying right now, based on what they see, the fire sale may be underway. In other words, they may go to tank mode, in which case people like McCaffrey and a few others of note on that squad will become available for sale. So if that's the case, you know Wilkes not getting that job. And Mr. Stroud, Mr. Young, Mr. Williams, get ready. Y'all might be on your way to Carolina.
Yeah, because there's a lot of crazy rumors going around with McCaffrey. If you heard this week, I definitely been hearing rumor names like, Buffalo Bills, him going there or going to one of those teams.
And talking about stacking the deck, if that would happen, that's the one thing really missing from Buffalo, a decent running back.
That'll be a complete team. And luckily they're doing this before they play. Because if they had a chance to get him earlier, because I know they were interested in him, during the off season. If they would have been able to pull that off before they play Kansas City, oh man, that'd definitely be something worth watching. But we'll get into that a little bit further on down the line. I wanted to ask a question, and I know you heard this question just as much as the Draymond Green situation, and I kind of already know your answer, but are the quarterbacks getting a little bit too much leeway now in the league with the roughing the passes? Because we found like two games, like back-to-back Sunday and Monday, that some calls were called that maybe shouldn't have been, but you already said this before, Ian. I'm starting to understand and realize now after what happened with Tua, now I'm not only just Tua, but the backup quarterback with the, concussion and protocols. I just think that's the way they're going to call it now, man, because I feel like they looked at it like they're not protecting the quarterbacks enough. But then, it's like, which hand you're going to deal. You're going to have it to where, Matthew Stafford going to get lit up and not call anything. You're going to have it where Brady gets to the point where somebody tackle him and sling him to the ground and probably might not been as with much authority. And then you call that roughing the passer. And then the situation where with Chris Jones, when he tackled Derek Carr and he definitely was trying to reach for the ball and he was trying to strip the ball as he tackled him. And he didn't land all the way on him, I felt like. But then they still looked at it like, by you landed on him, we're going to call it roughing the passer. And it's a whole bunch more in that situation where, that Chiefs game we'll get a chance to get around to. But how do you feel about how, sensitive they've been now about the quarterbacks?
It's levels to it, plain and simple. It's levels to it. Because on the one hand, you got Matthew Stafford getting lit up, and I'm talking about some of them calls should have been called. Then you got people like Brady who basically barely got touched and got the call. It's like it's levels to it because certain quarterbacks, they got the Jordan rules applied to them, and not the ones where we beat them. I'm talking about the ones after the Jordan rules where, oh, you touch Jordan, that's a foul. Brady had that same type of cash check. The Bradys, the Aaron Rodgers, the Mahomes, you can't touch them. You touch them, oh, you messing up with the faces of the league. Oh no, we can't have that. Flag, suspension, booty. But then on the other hand, if you basic quarterback A, the the Baker Mayfields of the world, oh yeah, tee off on them, no problem. If you the running quarterback, the
Lamar Jackson
of the world. Oh yeah, well he was gonna run. That's why I had to hit him like that. He would have escaped. There is different rules that come into play. Or Josh Allen big as hell. I gotta hit him like that. Otherwise he ain't gonna go down. I mean, There's got to be some more consistency with the thing. That's all I'm saying.
Because Tony Dungy showed too. He said he just didn't want to put Brady out there. It was a call with Josh Allen to determine that Ravens game. And it was like, but then unfortunately, that whole call with Brady helped with that game too, because it was about 3 minutes left and it was on the third down. And if they would have gave him that sack, even though the game could have been a 50-50, but they would at least had a chance. But when that play called at pass interference, they didn't get the ball back. So yeah, I just feel like the consistency need to be there, not just only with like the quarterbacks of the cachet, like the Patrick Mahomes, the Josh Allens, the Brady's.
I mean, bottom line is we don't want to be tuning into the NFL every week and seeing half the teams playing with their backup. I get that. I understand that's what you're doing with it. You paying these people too much damn money to have them sitting on the bench talking about my ribs and my knee and my leg. But in the same token, you got to make it fair for the defense some kind of way.
Because, if they really feel that way, man, why would you let them sack the quarterback? Then we used to see back in the day when they were starting to try to get more comfortable with protecting the quarterbacks. And if a person just grab a quarterback, and hold him and don't let him go, they'll be like, okay, the end of the play. They need to do something, man, because it's like these games are getting too vital.
They might go ahead and throw the flag on him. And like, oh, I pulled his flag, he's sacked. I mean, I don't know what to tell
you. All right, man. I want to know right now too. We basically had the Chargers as one of our favorite teams, man. But not only are they not playing well, but it seems like both LA teams are kind of roughed up right now. Which one of the two teams you feel like can turn around and make it to the playoffs if you had to choose one of the two teams?
Well, I wouldn't say so much the Chargers not playing well. Clearly, we know that Herbert is hurt. That rib situation is something you're going to have to keep monitoring the next couple of weeks, especially in light of what went on with some other quarterbacks. But it's definitely the Chargers at this point. The Rams got several issues they need to contend with. Chargers right now, their main issue is the fact that they got a little bit of banged upness in the defense, but primarily it's Herbert. You get Herbert healthy, they right back in the mix. Meanwhile, with the Rams, you got Matthew, and I keep telling y'all this. I told y'all this day one of the season. Matthew Stafford is hurt. That is why he is playing the way he is playing. And whatever was wrong with him week 1 is worse now in week 6. He is playing injured. He has done that throughout his career. We know this about Matthew Stafford. He will play with busted up fingers, hands, toes. We didn't seen it all here in Detroit. You are not getting the best Matthew Stafford you can get. He admitted that a good part of last year, even through the Super Bowl run, he was hurt. And it's clear to me. That's why when it comes to some of the decision making, it's like, well, I still got this bullet for an arm. Let me just put it out there and good luck. But unless your name is Cooper Kupp, that probably ain't going to work out no other way. 2, that offensive line, they ain't looking too cool. They was just running them boys last week. Give me Matthew. It was like, what the hell? You think Cincinnati got an offensive line problem? It ain't nothing like what's going on with the Rams right now. And bottom line is, it's definitely some things to be fixed with that offense. Every other play can't be for Cooper Kupp. And you need somebody to step up in the run game and say, yeah, I'm the running back. Let me get you off 2 yards. We're not seeing that.
Yeah, because Cam Akers is not working.
OBJ, and who knows how that'll go. So
him and Henderson playing lackluster. That's another team, that if you talking about a McCaffrey could go to, he could go to that team, but I still don't really think it'll help with the issues of that offensive line.
Yeah, but that being said, definitely that would be something that Sean McVay would like to play with. Remember that you could line him up at running back, the tight end situation, have him throw the ball here and there, kind of wildcat style. That's definitely a toy he would probably like to play with.
Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and let you get deep into this one right here because we were talking about this game and the Lions and how they played that game.
I'm not about to get deep into that. It was an embarrassment. Plain simple. You cannot lose 29-0 to the backup quarterback that did not even play at a Big Five school. That's just ridiculous, man. There is no excuse for that. None.
Rolled you hit.
Had to lose your job. Rhoda said, what did you think of the Green Bay game in London? I feel like Green Bay didn't go to sleep on the plane or something. They did not play well. The Giants are not a 4-1 team for real, in real actual life.
I'm glad she said that because I definitely wanted to chime in on that one, and that was the next thing I was going to say.
We can move on from the Lions. Ain't nothing to be said there. Thank God we ain't got to see them play this week. Bye week. Amen. Let's move on.
I still feel like in that situation with the Giants, though, they just have by Saquon Barkley being back, man. That was an X factor, and the defense stepped up when they needed to in that game. I still feel like with Green Bay, they got some things they got to sort out. And I've heard like some live audio where my man's Aaron Rodgers is not happy with some of the stuff that's going on with the team. But
right. Of course, they saying behind closed doors, he blaming everybody else. It ain't his fault. It's these kids.
That being said, I want to get into like some of the other games. Do you have anything before we get into some of these games, some of the games of the week?
I absolutely agree. And they should have won that game, bro. Bottom line is, you talking about how Alabama having a down season. No, Green Bay is having a down season. Big time. They are not showing up. And right now, you need to do everything in your power, Green Bay, to make sure that you can get OBJ away from the Rams and anybody else that wants it. You need OBJ desperately because in the end, Aaron Rodgers needs that one person he can feel like, okay, no matter what, I can get it to you. And since we can't get Devontae Adams back in Green Bay, that's the move. And if you can't get OBJ, I think you might want to call Seattle and see if you can wrestle Metcalf away from them. Something got to go on.
Because they don't really have them blowing out teams like they used to. I think they're only like a 7.5 favor over the Jets right now.
And I can see Green Bay losing to the Jets the way they've been playing.
I want to talk about the Cowboys-Eagle game.
Now you're talking. Now that's something we can go in depth into. That is not only going to be the game of the week by far, but probably one of the best 5 games in this entire season. Now we get to find out on the Philly, is Philly for real? Are they really as good as we think they are? Because Dallas is going to go in highly motivated to beat them and take over the league in the NFC East. Not to mention the fact that basically Dak is doing everything in his power to play this game because he knows how important it is, not only for the team this year, but perhaps for his legacy in general. Because in the end, he has to show that, no, I'm the alpha dog in the NFC East. Jalen Hurts ain't about to come over here and take over. You still got to keep in mind, Dak's still a young man. Jalen Hurts a young man, but showing major improvement, okay? Right now, if we pick an MVP race, it's going down to 3 people. You got Mahomes, you got Allen, and you got Hurts. Hurts can definitely step up to the number 1 spot if he can win that game against Dallas, and especially if they win it convincingly. I think we're going to see a lot of good firepower on the offensive end. I think we're going to see a lot of good defensive play from both teams. Both have very good defenses. You want to know if Micah Parsons is the next Lawrence Taylor? These are the types of games that show what you are made of. If you want to know if the best corner in the league actually is big play Darius Slay, these are the type of games that prove that because you already know who he going to be on Sunday. And that's going to be a very good matchup between him and CeeDee Lamb. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that game. Absolutely. Get your popcorn ready, make your nachos. Let's go.
They have Philly by 6.5. Do you agree with
no points in this game, people? Don't need smurf with them points. This is going to be a tight game, and we all know it. I'd be stunned if this was a blowout. Whether it's Cooper Kupp or Dak Prescott at quarterback for Dallas. Don't even matter. It's a division rivalry game. Philly, Dallas hate each other. And where's this game being played? In
It's a
Philly on a weekend where they get to see the Phillies and the Eagles play. Oh, it's gonna be a very raucous house, no doubt.
I think it's going to be a closer game than that too. Whoever win go win by like 3.5. I don't have it to 6.5. That's a little too much for me. But yeah, I've definitely been hearing that Dak's been practicing, and he's determined and looking forward to trying to get in on this game. Which, no disrespect,
Gametime decision. And also, let us say happy birthday to Jerry Jones. It is his birthday today. Happy birthday, Jerry Jones.
But I'm looking forward to seeing that one. That's going to be a good one. It's going to definitely be worth the Sunday night impact that we think it's going to be. Another game is I look at, and this is going to really show if the Giants are really what we think they are, which I definitely don't think they're going to beat the Ravens. But they do have, even though it's in New York, they have the Ravens by 5.5.
As they should. The Giants are not the 4-1 team people think they are. This team did 4-1 by smoke and mirrors, by circumstance and whatnot. They are going to get exposed this week, okay? And if not this week, soon after, because I can see a scenario where they 4-1 now, but they end the season 6-11 or something like that. We are not going to be seeing the Giants in nobody's playoff. Daniel Jones is still that team's quarterback, and he is okay at best. With that type of defense with the Ravens, they should show that, yeah, we ain't as bad as people have been saying we are. We can get to the quarterback because Daniel Jones, we're going to get to you, sir. You're going to feel it. You're going to feel it.
Funny thing this week, too, how we say sometimes in college, it's a lot of cupcake games this week, but I wanted to save the best for last because I know we definitely going to get into this one. And that's the Bills going to visit the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. But the shocker of the fact is, and I definitely want you to talk about and us to get into discussion with, they actually have the Bills winning in Kansas City, and they're a 2.5-point favorite.
Well, you got to remember, it's two things come to play in that. One, they are playing in Kansas City after Kansas City played a Monday night game. So keep in mind, there's that fact. And a close Monday night game at that. Two, when we look at the defenses, definitely a better defense going on in Buffalo than in Kansas City. Should this be a high-scoring affair? Possibly. And didn't you just say, that we got the best game being the Eagles and the Cowboys? Yeah, because it's a division rivalry. This is not, but it don't mean it's not going to be a good game as well. It also will be a good game. It also will be a top 10 game this year, I believe. Because remember, Allen, he's still feeling some type of way after losing Mahomes in the playoffs last year in overtime. Talk about good game. That was definitely one of the better playoff games you will ever see between them two gunslingers. So they both got a lot of respect for each other. They both very talented quarterbacks. I definitely expect it to be a good game as well. But hold on.
And Diggs taking it to heart too, man, because I remember when they lost to them and they were going and getting ready for the play in that Super Bowl that one year. He sat there and watched the ceremony, and then to lose to them again like they did in a close one, I know it eats him up. So, yeah, I definitely think that they're going to be totally motivated, and it's going to be a really good game. Like you explained, the defenses are going to be there. But I still feel like Buffalo has a little more, even though their back end's kind of banged up. And I feel like that's going to probably hurt them somewhat. But at the same time, all around, they have a really strong defense and a defensive front. And that X factor, Von Miller, I believe these are the games that they paid him for, to go over there and play at a high level to get them over the hump. So, yeah, this is going to be a close one. Whoever wins.
Let's try to keep up with Mahomes all day, sir. the magician will definitely have his full magic tricks in effect. And like I said, I think KC is even better this year than they were last year at the point where they played them, because now they're more of a team with like, okay, we don't have the cheater no more. Everybody got to get involved. We all know the key for Buffalo is not going to necessarily stop at Mahomes, because I don't think they're going to stop Mahomes. The key is to stopping Travis Kelce. That's the person Von Miller needs to have his eye on.
Yeah, because for him to only have 25 yards but 4 touchdowns, man, they said that made history. That was the lowest yards ever made in a game and have that many touchdowns. So, yeah, that guy's an X factor. And they said after the halftime that was their whole focus, and they knew that the focus was going to be on Travis Kelce, and they still couldn't stop that man. So, yeah, that's enough to be said. So, I'm definitely looking forward to that game and checking that out. It's not really too many impactful games that I've seen on the NFL.
Well, let me look through the list myself here, see if I can pick out a little diamond in the rough for us. Because, yeah, I would agree that definitely when we look at the games in general, there's a lot tougher games going on in the college football this week as opposed to the pros. But that being said,
because that Dolphin game with Tua would have been
New Jersey and Philly is playing hockey right now, 1-1. We said we'd give you more hockey news. We're doing that. Hold on here, people. Have a look here with the scores here. But yeah, basically the Raiders are in a pretty good predicament right now because they are on a bye week and they couldn't come at a better time. Just in light of how that game went, plus the whole situation with Devontae Adams, which of course we got to address right quick. I mean, bottom line is the man was running off the field. Camera guy gets like right here. He pushes him off. Did he push him hard? Yeah, he did. Did it look malicious? Not when you put it all in context. Imagine if here you are walking off the field, you still got things on your mind, and then somebody pops like right in front of your face. There's 2 camera angles to that. The one camera angle makes it look like the guy was just there and he just walked up and Devontae pushes him. Like, get out my damn way, I'm mad. The other camera angle shows that, damn, where you come from? Get out my way. And it was very reactionary. So the fact that that has not gone to the place where it needed to go, in fact, it then went to the courts where Devontae got to show up in court now in the middle of the season, that he's being sued because the man said he had injuries, and they described the injuries as whiplash and a headache and, you know, some BS. Dude is trying to get paid. It sucks. Devontae is not having fun in Oakland. I mean, in Vegas right now. Not at all.
We even got to a deep conversation and we said, hell, I was like, man, is it time to start looking at Josh McDaniel? You said, no, he was going to be going towards another direction. And you think most of that heat and animosity is going to go towards Mr. Carr, Derek Carr.
I do. Because in the end, he was the one that recruited that guy there. It wasn't McDaniels. That was his boy. He was the one saying, yeah, come hook up. It'll be like good old times. And when push comes to shove, he ain't even looking for him when things get in trouble like that to the degree. Keep in mind, you know, back in Green Bay, it wasn't even a thought process. Yeah, they bullshit. It's me and you, Devontae. Let's go. That is not the case. Not the case at all when they are playing. Another game that I feel we could talk about is Minnesota and Miami. It's going to be interesting because, one, who's going to start for Miami? Right now, not only is Tua not starting, it's looking like our good buddy is also not starting.
Teddy Bridgewater.
They both are in concussion protocol. And both are not eligible to be playing. So, third quarterback, Mr. Thompson, kid from Kansas State, he will get the start in that one. Meanwhile, you got Minnesota, who is a miraculous 4-1. Again, another team that's 4-1 that probably shouldn't be. It is in Miami. It is going to be rather warm down there that day, so heat will be a factor. I'm curious to see how that all plays out. It is definitely not a game where they definitely lose because they got backup. As you see, some of these backups playing pretty good when you consider Skyler, who played decent last week, and of course that kid Zappy. But all that being said, I think that might be a intriguing game between those two. What do you think, Hugh?
First off, why you say Zappy so angry?
Baby Zappy.
But I definitely thought that would be a good game, regardless of the fact they don't have the quarterbacks, but then they do have the defense who's actually still playing rather well. It just got to the point where it got a little too out of hand last week. And I feel like Zach Wilson was playing like he had the best back-to-back games of his career. How long it's going to last, I'm not sure. But I still feel like that could be a good game because of the fact that X Factor is unfortunate. And we always say this, E, how well Kirk Cousins is going to play. That's the big thing because he looks good some games and he could give you the worst games of his career. Like when I seen him play the game they lost, if I'm not mistaken, that was against Philly, he stunk it up. And I just don't see him playing efficient for like a good 4-5 game stretch. He's going to have some stinkers in there. And this definitely could be a trap game in Miami with that heat and being on the road. I could definitely see that, but I'm definitely intrigued with it because not on the Miami side, but I want to see the type of pressure Kirk Cousins can handle. Because when we say him all the time, he's that guy who's under the radar that they keep giving money to guaranteed. And we like, how the hell he getting all this guaranteed money and they keep giving him this money, and it seems like he's like a mid-card level at best with his team and as a quarterback. What the price? Damn.
Actually, prior to saying that the Pistons early on not looking too good against Memphis in the preseason game this evening, and already gave up 50 points. Not really concerned. I mean, bottom line is the nights when the Pistons lose this year, it won't be the offense, it'll be the defense that caused them. Much like with the Lions these days, there will be some nights when Pistons score pretty good. It's just that if you go and get 110 or give up 125, that's not going to win you no games. So, like I said, there's the team chemistry issue that I'm concerned with because they are such a young team, and a lot of those players that got good offensive weapons, but definitely gonna need to work on defense if they want to get into the upper echelons of the league. As we do that quick little audible play. But back to Minnesota and whatnot. Like I said, you never know what Minnesota you're gonna get from week to week because again, the X factor is Cousins. They have good receivers. They got Thielen. They got Jefferson over there. Of course, you got that good running back. You got a pretty good defense on that squad. So some weeks they're gonna come and tear it up. Other weeks, not so much.
Yeah, because you're right. That run game with Cook is amazing, man. When they let him get off, he gets off, man. And then you got
action, and that's where you get a better version of Kirk Cousins when he has to play action to use as a weapon. And you kind of shut down Cook a little bit, that makes it harder for him.
He's too dependent on Jeffries sometimes, and Jeffries can be somebody who can get a lot of looks, and he doesn't look at Thielen a lot, and I think that's a big issue with him. He's starting to get too Jeffries dependent, like how Matthew Stafford
starting to deal with Jefferson like he dealt with Diggs when he was with Minnesota.
He got two good wide receivers. He needs to be more versatile with them. I think he's going to try to, spoon feed or try to squeeze in some plays for Jeffries. And he just go, man, I know that I look at it the whole time and I just be waiting. I sit there and I wait patient, like when is he going to finally start to explode? Because that's what he do. He like a roller coaster. He has some really good times when he up and really lows when he down. So yeah, that's a game that where I can see them losing. That's more of a trap game than any other game because most of them are kind of cupcake. But if Miami just get to him and put a little rush on him, sometimes that's when he get rattled. And we've seen that with the Eagles game. If you could put some
Keep in
type of pressure
mind,
on
the NFL being what it is, on the one hand, you look at it from a better standpoint, like, yeah, this is a good week to get some good bets in. But on the other hand, you know how the NFL is. Any given Sunday, and we have had several any given Sunday type games early on this season. That Lions New England game, a perfect example of just that. But then if you look at the other end of it, that Buffalo Pittsburgh game was exactly what we thought it was going to be and worse.
Yeah, and that game was really bad, man, and definitely without TJ Watt because he one of their difference makers too. So yeah, man, but you never know on any Sunday. That's why I like it. But it's more or less like we've been having way more upsets on Saturday than Sunday. But at the same time, man, it's some games like, for instance, nobody expected the Giants to pull out the victory on Green Bay. I looked at that game and I was like, man, I definitely got Green Bay by a touchdown. And they're up 17 points at the half and end up losing. So yeah, you just never know. But that's what makes it so interesting. And that's why I try to watch and keep a look in on the games to see who playing, no matter how bad the games is, unless it's a really bad blowout. I usually try to tune in because you never know. One play can impact the whole game.
Absolutely. Or one injury even. Because
Yep.
again, the key is to keep everybody healthy at this point because there are several teams right now. If they lose their quarterback or they star receiver, uh, ooh, imagine if you get Cooper Cup hurt this week, for example.
Man, please don't let that happen.
Right, knock on wood, or Patrick Mahomes goes down. And Lord knows the Lions lose somebody like Jared Goff right now.
So yeah, it's definitely a good time for me to check in and watch some of those games. But on that note, man, you have anything else to say?
Well, no, that pretty much wraps it up for this week's edition of Game Time Audible, y'all. Hopefully, we got most of what we need to get into. Oh, there is one other story we do need to discuss before we go. We
Yes,
got to
sir.
talk about that guy Dan Snyder and what's going on with that situation.
Glad you brought that up too, man. He basically just came out today and he said, hey, listen, I'm getting tired of all this stuff being thrown on me like I'm the bad guy and everybody want to reflect anything bad on me. Y'all better check yourselves and pump your brakes because if y'all keep coming at me like that, I got dudes on some of everybody. And if I say what I got to say, a lot of people gonna be in trouble and a lot of feelings gonna be hurt. So y'all need to back off me and y'all need to be careful what y'all asking for because you're gonna get it. And if I give it to you, the whole league gonna feel it. And it was pretty interesting because people saying, oh man, he doing a Nino Brown and he basically a snitch. Nah, it's like he been a scapegoat for a while. And if there's more stuff out there to be said, that's what John Gruden was saying. He said, since you told on me and told the stuff I said, why don't you put out what everybody said and everybody in this conversation? And that's going to bring up a lot of good stuff. So I'm ready to see what's going to happen in that whole situation because it's going to get ugly.
We oftentimes talk about the good old boy network and the NFL, and Snyder been there for a minute now. So he definitely knows where some of them skeleton bones is buried. And I really feel like, on the one hand, he needs to be gone because he is running a terrible organization over there with the Commanders. But on the other hand, it's some stuff going on, and we really need to know what's up. That being said, if they can manage to get him out the league and force him to sell the team, uh, that opens up the opportunity for something that we've been waiting on: minority ownership. What better place to own a team than Washington, right there by Washington, D.C., where they have that large African American population? I would love to see that. That you sell it to a Diddy or Jay-Z or somebody like that. But again, that might be wishful thinking.
Yeah,
But
you
yeah,
know, right?
I'm definitely gonna have to give. And don't be surprised if Gruden's name come up a time or two in these discussions because you know him and Daniel Snyder were good friends. You know there was a possibility at one point that he was going to sign over there with the Redskins. Remember, at one point his brother was the head coach over there. So definitely was some discussions had by those particular individuals. And I'm sure there's some emails that he may be able to pull out to help out his boy Daniel that might shed some light on some of this. Because Lord knows we know about the many emails that were sent out by Gruden, but what we don't know is who he sent them to and what their responses was. Perhaps that's some of what he's talking about. So yeah, that could get real interesting.
I hope they keep feeding us with this, man, because it got real hot. Because after the whole situation with what was going on with Devontae Adams, it started to kind of calm down in the NFL. And then when he said what he said, he got real deep on the topic, and he said basically, "F them, they can't do nothing to me."
Well, we shall see. But I'm of course waiting for you now to react to what Pride has posted there. You
Oh yeah, I was surprised they let go some of the good guys in the first place, man. Especially him and what he could bring to the table. I just feel like it's going to be better product because, unfortunately, we had to suffer through the whole Vince McMahon era. It was a lot of good, but once he started to get caught up in his ways, it was a lot of bad. And I feel like Stephanie and Triple H owning the company and being less biased, they're going to bring back a lot of guys, and there's going to be a lot of good going on in that company because it has been definitely improved over the short span that he's been gone. And definitely looking forward to it only getting better.
I mean, bottom line is some of the storylines in WWE starting to get kind of stale now, so they needed a few things to shake it up. But I think that's on purpose. I think they hold back several storylines until WrestleMania season. So basically, I feel like for Royal Rumble on, we should definitely see a lot of interesting things come up, and a few other people come back to the fray at some point. So yeah, I'm not surprised by that, and I think the key is for Bray Wyatt. Are we gonna get the straight Bray Wyatt, or are we gonna get some different incantation of him? Are we gonna get the Fiend back at some point? Definitely would like to see that happen. Are we gonna get the gang back together or a different gang with the whole Fireflies and whatnot?
Oh yeah, the fun house.
You definitely got to get the right. Love that in the promos.
You know what, too, E-Man? Well, we were talking about this the other day, too, man. Even when we're not on the show, we still be bringing up things and trying to get ideas to go to the fold. Yeah, man. What about I want the old Survivor Series to come back, man. How they used to do, like, it's 4 guys in the ring, and if a person loses, then you go on with 3 all the way to everybody's eliminated to the last match. I thought that was pretty cool. I hope they bring that back because that was one of their big traditions, and that's what we liked about that, man.
Right.
And
And like
I
I
hope they
said,
bring some of the old.
we gotta have a pay-per-view every month, and some of them that they have, not so much. Did Glow come back? Not to my understanding, but apparently that
Sure
is
about.
in the discussion.
I wish it was, though. I was a huge fan of that back in the day. It was something different from the men wrestling too. So I would love to see that, man, because I love the Netflix series they made, but definitely would like something like that to come back about.
Have y'all seen the video of this little black girl with the Fiend mask on holding the dials and jumping up and down while watching his return? Ray actually tweeted her a thank you. Interesting. No, I
Yeah, I
haven't
haven't.
seen that actually. By all means, go ahead and send us that link in the chat if you would, Pride. I would like to see that. But
Yeah,
yeah, like I said, they definitely need something to kind of shake it up because the whole bloodline thing is starting to get old.
yeah.
I
You know
think
what?
like this is gonna play out until WrestleMania, but they got to do something to kind of shake all that up.
It reminded me of that NWO when you kept seeing them and they kept spoon feeding you them and you got tired of it. You wanted something different. So yeah, they're gonna have to mix it up, and that's a good way to put Bray in the fold. and get some of those guys in the fold. You need some people who will go up against them, man, and fight that crew, man, fight that stable. And I think to basically give them more competition to where, yeah, they might get the best of you at one point, but you could get the best of them as well to kind of get an even playing field. At least try to stir it up, like you said, before WrestleMania, because it's getting close.
Right, and you know, I see that them brought Brock Lesnar back again also, and him fighting the Almighty Lashley. That might be a decent match, but kind of tired of that scenario too.
Yeah, did they fight too before? Man, they fought several.
Okay, this is for anybody interested. That's the link to what Pride was talking about, so y'all can check that out for yourself. But yeah, that's pretty much what I got, Hugh.
Yeah, same here, man. Definitely appreciate you, E, as always, man.
Well, you know, go on ahead and let everybody know what's good with you.
All right, before I get into that, man, like I said, I appreciate you, E, on many levels, man, outside of this. But yeah, for the people who definitely chime in to Pure to the Game, appreciate y'all, man. I just want, more followers, people to listen in, and if you have any ideas, you could throw them out there to me, man, because I'm definitely not biased of anybody's ideas. If anything is good out there that you want me to know or something you're interested in, definitely let me know. Lay it on me, like when Coach V said about the high school. I definitely want to do more due diligence on that and start putting more of that on the website, and just get with me and whatever things you have for me. Or if you want me to talk about or speak about things on there, man, just let me know. Hit me up on Pure to the Game, and I definitely like to hear what your thoughts are. And I appreciate people who follow it, and hopefully I can keep bringing good news to y'all.
And of course, like I said, we for our good buddy Bro, we definitely will look a little bit more into the whole hockey thing. I have some hockey news for you. Definitely, if you are looking for a good source to get your hockey updates from, much like how MLB has MLB Network and the NBA has NBA TV, and of course NFL Network, NHL has a network as well that plays 24/7. You can check that out and get your hockey news from that. So we both will look into that. And of course, if you have Sirius XM, they have a hockey station as well. So you can check that out.
Hey, man, this game already starting off bad, man. It's in Washington, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have like the flags and like the terrible towels and the whiteouts and stuff in college and the football in general. They got a paper bag in Washington right now.
Yeah.
Being said, that game
it's a man these days. Not at all. I understand. Speaking of games, and that preseason game Pride mentioned is now 60-53 at the half. So yeah, they gave up 60 points at halftime, but hell, Memphis gave up 53. That ain't that great either. And from what I see from the box score, Cunningham and Jalen Ivey, they're not really shooting that much this game, so that might be part of what goes into that there. It does seem like they're trying to basically narrow down who's going to make the roster at this point. So a lot of people have not even left the bench at this point. I don't think this is a game that the Pistons are trying to win. I think they're just basically trying to see what we got left and get ready to make the cuts this weekend. So that's what that's about. So that being said, y'all, we should be back at our regular scheduled day and time next Wednesday. By the way, for those of you who have been looking for Get Off This Long, it will be back on Tuesday. Our two major topics is we're going to talk about the spooky season that is Halloween and how it is just a major uprising in Halloween. I mean, Halloween is definitely for a country that's supposed to be going through this great recession and whatnot. It's a lot of people spending a lot of quality dough on all things Halloween. And the second thing we definitely got to talk about, we got to go through our checklist because it's about to be that time, y'all. Time for election season. I know y'all been seeing all of the commercials and whatnot in regards to the Senate and governor and mayor races and all that. I kind of want to get everybody set for voting because, as you know, there are several states and several provinces that they don't want you to vote, and they're trying to make it hard for you. So we're gonna try to get y'all a few things to kind of make it easier for you to get through all that mess. So we will do that Tuesday, 9:30 p.m. That is Get Off This Lawn Live. So until then, y'all, keep checking out the shows in the Nighthawk Network. Shout out to all our Nighthawk Network associates and peoples. Also want to shout out Coach B and Coach Will, and of course all our other regulars that check in with us every week. We appreciate y'all for that. And that being said, we about to get up out of here and watch us some sports, because that's what we do. Oh, yeah, right? You know I wasn't gonna forget. You knew that, right? Free Brittany Griner! The fuck! You really thought I was gonna forget
about that tonight.
More importantly, I'm glad the president forgot. He has mentioned her a couple times this week, so hopefully he's still working on that diligently. You definitely could get you a few extra votes for your people, sir, if you get Brittany freed before the election jumps off. If you're trying to score extra points, that would probably be good to do that. But then again, you're dealing with Putin, and that fool crazy. So there's that. Anyway, we about to get up out of here, y'all. All right, Hugh, you know what to do. What the fingers at? Put them up there. Throw them fingers up. And where's mine? And we. Gametime Audible is a Nighthawk Network.